Hi, all. It's been a while. This post that I have for you is something I wrote a couple months ago. It's called My Wife Was Replaced by a Mimic, and I Couldn't Be Happier. I had a lot of fun writing this. I hope that you enjoy listening to it. Without further ado, here's my three-part story. My wife was replaced by a mimic, and I couldn't be happier. Part 1. My wife went on a trip recently with her girlfriends. What came back wasn't my wife. It wasn't even subtle. I don't know what happened to her up in those mountains, but if I'm being honest, it's an improvement. Claire used to be sweet. When we were dating, she was very attentive, doting even. After a long day at work, she'd meet me at the door with a smile and a hug that I could live inside forever. I made good money, enough for her to stay home, keep the place tidy, and tend to the little things that made our house feel like a dream. So, of course, I proposed. The wedding was beautiful. Life after the honeymoon started out smoothly, but it didn't last long. Claire started spending every day with her friends, long lunches, shopping trips, and endless spa days. I hardly ever saw her anymore. And when I did, she was either drunk or high. She wasn't a happy drunk. She threw tantrums over maxed out cards and screamed at me when the bank declined her latest spree, demanded I work more overtime so she could keep buying things we didn't need. "You're not providing for me like you promised in our wedding vows," she would often say. I did promise to take care of her, but this was getting insane. Her latest demand? A deluxe spa retreat for her 5 girlfriends. A place up in the Smoky Mountains called Smoky Mountains Resort. Mud baths, hot springs, seaweed wraps, the works. I hesitated and suggested that maybe just she go, or perhaps scale back the 5 friend head count. She slapped me. She had never hit me before. I was shocked. "You're a fucking bitch if you can't pay for me and all my friends to have a decent birthday experience." So I paid. I make good money, but I'm not Jeff Bezos. I'm trying to retire someday. Still, I caved. I always did. Happy wife, happy life, right? But something inside me broke that day. I had tolerated her for too long. I believed in marriage, I really did. But Claire had become someone I didn't recognize. I made up my mind. I would serve her divorce papers when she came back. I didn't know how she'd react. Probably call me a bitch again. Or worse. But it didn't matter. I'd let the lawyers sort the mess out. Her trip was a week long. I spent the time consulting attorneys, drafting documents, and rediscovering what peace and quiet felt like. It was the final night of her trip. Tomorrow, she'd be home. Poured myself a glass of Jack Daniels number 7, my go-to. I'd spent the week juggling overtime with laundry and cleaning. It was exhausting, but also kind of grounding. Whiskey helped take the edge off, but it was no shoulder rub like the ones Claire used to give me. I sank into the recliner, savoring the quiet, when my phone buzzed. Claire's ringtone. I groaned. It was late. If I didn't have tomorrow off, I'd already be in bed. I figured she was calling to yell at me about some last minute resort charge or to start the nagging early. I knocked back the shot and picked up. "Hello?" Static. Then, "Mark, please help me. There's something stalking me." Her voice was low, frantic, a breathless whisper. The second shot had just started hitting me. "Claire? I can't hear you. Speak up." "You drunk asshole. Your wife is in trouble. You promised to protect me." The whisper turned into a strangled hiss, like she was shouting through clenched teeth. I rolled my eyes, already preparing to throw back her own wedding vows. when a shriek rang through the line. And then, silence. Not a hang up, not a disconnect, just nothing. Except maybe something. A rustling, giggles, grunting, bare feet scuffling on the tile. Hard to say, nothing direct, just noise. I stared at the phone for a few seconds, waiting for her to come back on. She didn't. Must have been a prank. Can't wait for more of this when she gets home. I poured one more shot, knocked it back, and went to bed. My wife was replaced by a mimic, and I couldn't be happier. Part 2. I was wrenched from sleep by the relentless ringing of the doorbell. My head throbbed. Too much, Jack. Shit. I rolled over and fumbled for my phone. 1:03 p.m. No excuse. I should have been up hours ago. But the whiskey and my dread about Claire's return had done me in. The doorbell kept going, but now the cadence had changed. Whoever was on the other side was playing something, a rhythm. It took me a second, but then I recognized it. Claire's favorite song. I couldn't remember the name, but the pattern was unmistakable. Tap, tap, tap. She was. Tap, tap. My skull felt like it was hosting a drum line. I muttered a curse under my breath and dragged myself out of bed. Who the hell was at my door? Some kid? I was gonna kick their ass when I opened the door. Though at this rate, they'd have 5 minutes to escape while I went blind from the sunlight. I staggered to the door, shielding my eyes like a vampire, and shouted, "I'm coming!" The doorbell stopped. Hallelujah. I cracked the door open with a groggy squint. Who is it? I tried to keep my voice neutral, but irritation seeped through. And there she was. Claire. Sort of. She was smiling. Not the sarcastic, dismissive smirk she'd worn the past few years, but a real smile. Soft, bright. The kind that once made me believe in things like fate. "Hi, hubby," she said. "Did you miss me?" Hubby? Where did that come from? I instinctively moved to shut the door, paused. If I didn't let her in, I knew I'd be dealing with another rendition of her doorbell symphony. So I opened the door wider. She looked just like Claire had before the wedding. Not younger, just lighter. Her eyes shimmered with warmth I hadn't seen in ages. That glow reached into my chest and touched something brittle and forgotten. It wasn't Claire. But what the hell was it? And it pushed me inside, gently guiding me backward and closing the door behind us with a quiet click. Alarm screamed in my mind. This is not Claire. This is something else. What did it want? What had it done with her? What was it going to do to me? But before I could act, it ushered me to the couch and began massaging my shoulders. "My poor hubby," it crooned. "Did you drink too much last night?" I turned to look at it. The concern on its face seemed genuine. I nodded, doing my best to mask the fear prickling my skin. I needed to play along, at least until I figured out what it was. "Don't worry," it said, gliding towards the kitchen. "I know just the thing for hangovers." I listened to the fridge open, the shuffling of containers, her voice softly humming with indecision. I tried standing. Bad idea. The room spun, and I collapsed back onto the couch with a groan. "Don't move a muscle, Mark," it called sweetly. "I'm going to take care of you." Like you took care of Claire? My mind spiraled until something pulled me back. The smell, butter, onion. My stomach growled. I looked up and saw her at the stove, a skillet already sizzling. I hadn't heard her chop anything. I watched her like a hawk. No peeking, hubby, she said with a playful glance. She pulled potatoes from the cupboard, and her movements were fluid, practiced. I turned away, staring at the wall, trying not to blink. Then, bacon. My mouth watered. The aroma wrapped around me like a spell. I dared to turn my head toward the kitchen. Stop peeking, she giggled. You'll ruin the surprise. A girl's gotta have her secrets. Her voice was so pleasant, unnervingly pleasant. I couldn't forget what she really was. A demon, a skinwalker, something sinister and out of the ordinary. God, was she wearing Claire's skin? Thousand thoughts screamed through me. And then she sat a plate down. Bacon, eggs, and hash browns. Go on, Mark, eat up. You'll feel better. She ran her fingers through my hair before slipping away to the laundry room. Poison? Maybe. Did I care? Whatever it was, if it wanted to kill me, wear me, feed off me, I was probably already doomed. My stomach gurgled. I hadn't eaten since the night before. I took a bite of bacon. Perfect. Chewy, crisp, juicy. Just the way I liked it. My God, I'm about to marry that thing. It was delicious. Everything. I shook my head. It was going to happen, right? I was going to die. There was no escaping that thing. No. It didn't want me to know it wasn't Claire. It couldn't show its hand yet. I had a chance. But could I kill whatever it was? I glanced back at the laundry room. She was folding clothes. Claire always hated how I folded clothes. Said I made it look like they'd been balled up and thrown in a dryer with rocks. Are you feeling better, hubby? She called sweetly. Hubby. I don't know if I'll ever get used to that. Claire had never called me hubby in our marriage. It was weird, but in a good way. This monster certainly knew how to lull a man into a false sense of security. Incredibly dangerous. I had to keep my guard up. I, uh, yeah. She smiled. I'm going to iron your work shirts next. They're a bit wrinkled. Oh, thanks. I hesitated. So, how was your trip? She giggled. She giggled. It was nice. Too nice. Must resist. It was amazing, Mark. Thank you so much for sending me and my friends. It was exactly what I needed. Right. Good. I'm glad you all had fun. She turned back to the clothes, humming again. I needed to get out. I needed space to think. I think I'll go to the library. Research. A new project for work. New client. Just trying to stay ahead of things. She walked over and kissed my cheek. I hope it goes well, she said softly. I'm making a nice dinner tonight, so no snacking while you're out. I nearly screamed. She kissed me. It kissed me. It got right up to me and kissed me. My skin tingled. Pheromones. Yeah, whatever this thing was, it was working my senses very, very well. I gulped. Yes, yes, I will not. I will not have any snacks. Yes. Good, she said, eyes sparkling as she looked me up and down. Because I'm dessert tonight. I turned quickly, determined not to show my arousal. Yes, ma'am. It came out high pitched, embarrassingly so. God damn it. Hold on, she said, just as I reached the doorknob. I froze.
Where's my kiss?
The wife was replaced by a mimic, and I couldn't be happier. Part 3. The library wasn't as helpful as I'd hoped. The biggest problem was that I didn't even know what I was dealing with. A mimic made the most sense, but that was more of a D&D term than a real-world classification. Native American folklore had plenty of stories about shapeshifters, beings that took human form to deceive, seduce, or stalk, but nothing with a checklist or a cure. Still, I didn't leave empty-handed. Salt and iron seemed to be the most commonly suggested countermeasures. So I went to Home Depot, where I discovered a new frustration. Nothing is just iron anymore. It's all steel. Alloy this, galvanized that. I sighed, loudly, repeatedly, in the metal aisle, like a man on the verge of losing a fight to metallurgy. Eventually, I settled on a steel rod. Close enough, I hoped, and grabbed a big bag of salt. I wasn't sure what kind would be the best. Table salt? Sea salt? Himalayan pink? At this point, I was overthinking it. I figured, if it came down to it, I could just bash her head in with the steel rod and pour salt in the wound. Felt like a backup plan from an exorcism manual written by the supernatural show writers. I sat in the car for a long time when I got home. What the hell was I doing? Was it possible, even remotely, that this was Claire? That she hit her head or had some mountain retreat revelation and decided to be a better person? It was unlikely, but not impossible. Maybe I was just so miserable, so used to the worst version of her, that I couldn't believe in the best version, even if it walked through the door and made me bacon. I stepped out of the car, gripping the paper bag like the nervous priest in Amityville, and walked into the house. It smelled like pot roast. My stomach turned in confusion and hunger. Did I really have to kill her? Maybe she was Claire. Maybe the spa changed her. The sound of the shower stopped as I walked into the bedroom. Light spilled out from under the bathroom door. I heard humming, at first garbled and wet, like someone gargling while trying to sing. Then it shifted slowly, unnervingly into Claire's voice. Then it changed again. It sounded like me. She giggled. I opened the door fast, a fistful of salt ready to fly. I saw something, a flash, a shape, twisted, jarring, wrong, and then it was gone. I fumbled the salt, dropping it. She lunged at me, not to attack, but to hug me. Hubby! She squealed, jumping into my arms like it was our wedding day. I caught her. Reflex. She kissed my cheek. I missed you. Yeah, I mumbled. I missed you too. And I meant it. I missed this version of Claire. The woman who smiled, who kissed me, who made me dinner. I'd never known what twisted her into the person that she became. Whatever this was, it wasn't her, but it was doing a hell of a job pretending. Dinner was quiet. I'm pretty sure she saw the salt scattered on the bedroom floor and the metal rod sticking out of the bag. And I'm absolutely sure she knew I saw her slip. This is amazing, I said, digging into the second helping of the roast. She smiled softly, sipping her wine. We didn't say much after that. I think we both knew there wasn't anything to say. We migrated to the couch after dinner. She curled into my side like Claire used to do, before things got bad. I didn't pull away. Even knowing what she was, I didn't feel threatened. I felt weirdly calm. Maybe I was too exhausted from all the fear. too numbed by the surreal acceptance of what I'd seen. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a motivational poster from the library whispered, "Serenity is acceptance of things you cannot change." Sure, that, or I'd finally lost it.
Mark,
She said.
if I were a monster, would you still love me?
I laughed, nervously. She felt it. Isn't the question supposed to be, would you still love me if I were a worm? She didn't answer. I felt like an ass. We were watching The Thing, of all movies. As she snuggled deeper into my chest, I wondered if she'd absorb me by the end credits. Her voice lowered, calm, measured, almost vulnerable.
So, hypothetically, let's say I'm like the creature in this movie. Let's say I was born in the mountains. I came across a woman who was awful. So I took her place, came back to her home, and tried to do better.
I blinked.
Let's say I'm not her. Let's say you know I'm not her, but I'm trying. I'm trying not to be an ungrateful bitch.
This is hitting really close to home, I chuckled.
Is it?
She asked. Her eyes searched mine, genuinely curious, genuinely scared. Maybe scared I'd drive a rod into her skull the moment she closed her eyes. Well, I said, stammering, I mean, this is all hypothetical, right? Monsters aren't real. She studied me.
Let's say either of us could kill the other at any moment. Would that really be so different from if I was her?
I paused. Claire hadn't been violent, but she had been killing me slowly, draining our bank account, draining my patience, draining me. And here was something else, something monstrous, asking for a chance. Was this a confession? We'd reached a threshold, an agreement, spoken in maybes and what ifs. I took a breath. Hypothetically, if you replaced my wife, if we could both kill each other at any moment, no, I don't think that would be much different. Claire was terrible, but she wasn't always. She changed. If you were a monster who replaced her, wouldn't it make you more likely to kill me? Her eyes dropped. She looked sad. Maybe it was a trick, a calculated illusion. Or maybe it wasn't. However, I continued, you've tried harder in one day than she did in 3 years. She was killing me slowly, spending money faster than I could earn. Never helped with anything. If you plan to be good, like you said, then no, I wouldn't kill you. And I wouldn't divorce you either. In fact, I might be able to accept you for what you are. She wrapped her very human arms around me. No claws, no tendrils, no teeth behind her eyes, just soft skin and a faint, sweet scent. She nuzzled into my neck.
So, you won't kick me out?
I blinked. That's what she was worried about? We were just talking about killing each other 5 seconds ago. I won't kick you out, I said. What else could I say? We both understood, quietly, silently. This was our new normal. We cuddled on the couch every night till this day. My story is strange, unbelievable, probably unrelatable. But if you got a shitty spouse, maybe send them to the Smoky Mountain Resort. Worst case, they come back the same. Best case, they don't come back at all. And what shows up instead might just be an improvement. So that wraps up that story. I'm looking into writing a sequel, but it may be a while until that shows up. So if you're interested in seeing more of my work, go on to howlitzer.com. That's where I post all my fiction, including this story. Also on Amazon.com, I have two books. Comic book called The Mothman Reborn, and a novella called How to Make a Monster, The Slenderfoot Story. Look under my name, at Laban. You'll find it. I'll post it in the description below. But once again, thanks for your support. Thank you for listening. Y'all have a good one.